ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is it really true? Is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on Hamilton Radio, guys. So everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 32 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 32 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I am a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. So, guys, I'm a nutritional health coach and I'm a recovery coach. If anyone needs my services, they are free to you. Please reach out and know that someone is listening, okay? We've lost too many people through addiction over the last year alone, okay? This is getting crazy. So I want everyone out there who's struggling and their families to know I'm here. Please reach out to me. If you think my book can help someone, please go to Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, BAM, Archway Publishing, Simon & Schuster's bookstore. It's everywhere. And also go to my website, www.geripetito.com, and please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. So having said that, today's a very incredible show for me personally. First and foremost, I have Doc G sitting here with us.
Hello, everybody.
Tell them who you are.
I'm Doc G. I'm the owner of Hamilton Radio, and we have shows like this because we can. Why shouldn't you? And I started this 27 years ago, and I'm glad to do it, and I hope I'm going to be here another 27 years.
So, okay, and we have Ruben. I don't want to not mention him. He's in the back. He's also a partner here, and he's also our producer, and he's my sidekick. So he's amazing what he does for all of us here at Hamilton Radio. I have two incredible guests. I'm going to introduce them. This guy sitting here to my right, his name is Anthony Hudson, okay? 2K24 presidential candidate right here. Ruben and I had the honor of going to the borders in Yuma, Arizona with this man, so we spent a lot of time with him. So I'm here to personally tell you, if you trust me and my advice, this guy has to be president. He's a regular guy. He's a truck driver from Michigan. He's an awesome friend. He's an incredible, incredible guy that can represent this country to its fullest, okay? His policies are people before politics. Now, I'm going to introduce this guy to my left. His name is Brian Boccanfuso, but we all know him in Mercer County as Bucky. He's running for Mercer County Sheriff. And we here at Hamilton Radio not only love him, but I personally do. He's family to me. I've known him my whole life. All right? This guy needs to be in office. Okay, we've got to start changing things, not only in Mercer County, but all over in this entire country. Of course, in the world. That's how I feel. But let's start with our country, with this guy. Let's start with our county, Mercer County, with this guy. Okay, I know them both personally, so I'm giving you my word, and listen, I'm taking it to the bank. These two guys need to get in office. Having said that, I'm going to switch my seat. This guy deserves the chair. The show is theirs. They're going to have the mics, okay? So we're going to do this a little different, guys. If I have a question or if Doc G has one, but really, you guys take the mics. Sit here, Buck.
Thank you, Jerry.
Bucky, how have you been, man?
I'm doing awesome, Anthony. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's nice to see you again. I believe this is the second time we've been in studio together, but
we have.
We've talked on the phone a couple times, and I'm following your road to the becoming sheriff, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next few months. And I really am hoping for a big victory for you here. So
we need big change here in Mercer County, big time.
and it extends out beyond that,
it
because
does.
the country is literally falling apart right beneath our eyes, and a big problem in this country is law and order. There's so much crime happening with no punishment, and that's where we need people like you to step in right here in Mercer County to reinstate that justice system, that proverbial paddle when somebody breaks the law, and let people know that, hey, you can't rob a convenience store for $800 and not face the consequences. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about what's going on here with all the crime?
Well, first off, I want to thank Jerry again for having me on the show. When it comes down to your question, the biggest problem I have is there are no consequences for the actions of those that are violating the laws. And it's not starting with us on the street, the men and women in blue that are out there every day protecting the citizens throughout our nation. It's obviously happening with our DAs. You look at New York City, the lack of consequence for your actions. If it's a citizen that lives in New York City that's breaking the law, or unfortunately, as they're having now with the immigration issue,
Right.
that are breaking the law numerous times. I just saw last night an individual that immigrated here 6 times in the last 2 months. He's been arrested and released. Why, I don't know.
Right.
Why he's still here in our country, I don't know.
I saw
don't
that-
have that answer.
I
But
saw
it-
that
it-
story
but
this
that's-
morning on the local
yeah.
news, and the lady
Yeah.
was beside herself with the fact that he's been arrested so many times and sent out with a cashless bond, which holds him with no responsibility.
Bail reform has to be brought back. Bail reform is the biggest issue that we're having also, besides the DAs and/or prosecutors not prosecuting cases and having consequences for the actions of those that are out there breaking the law.
Do you think, now I live near Flint, Michigan, okay? And we don't have enough cops on the street, enough with the sheriff department to cover the entire county. Is my microphone working?
You're on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what we face is a cost versus the punishment. Like the prosecutor's office will look at the crime and say, it's going to cost too much money to get this case before the judge that we're not going to waste taxpayer dollars locally, to incriminate these people, because if you steal 6-pack of cigarettes from the store, the cost of getting that in front of the prosecutor is way more than the crime. But the outcome to put that person in jail, even for 30 days or 6 months, would be worth it, right? Maybe it teaches a lesson to the criminal that we're not going to put up with this. And the judges, I'm sure the judges would hear the cases, but it seems like the issue is with the prosecutors.
The message needs to be sent when you're arrested. The message has to be sent. And that's the problem that I just talked about when I said an individual in New York City that has immigrated, come across our open border into New York City. 6 times he's been arrested, and each time the crime has escalated because the individual knows that for each crime he's doing, I'm not going to get anything but a slap on the wrist.
Right.
I'm going to go in, get processed, and get released, and I'm back on the street, and I'm going to go from the Costco to the Duane Reade to assaulting somebody, to robbing somebody, just escalating. And what, I guess they're going to say, well, when it comes down to somebody's life being taken, then that's going to be substantial enough, and it's too late. You can't, you don't get to that level. You just
Right.
don't let it get to that level, and that's the problem we're having.
And you got to stop
Absolutely.
it early on. I mean, when we were kids, and I'm sure you got spankings in school too, right? When you were a young boy in elementary school or middle school?
It didn't happen there. It happened at home with the
Well, it
Sam
happened
Brown
at-
belt because my father was a police
Oh,
officer.
my dad used to grab
So-
us by the arm, and we'd run around in circles because we'd try to get away from him. But if we
Yes.
acted up at school, we
Yeah.
would get a spanking there as well. And that taught us the lessons that we needed to be, in the right frame of mind at school, to do the right thing at school. And then it goes home, and you have the discipline at home. Now, I fear that because of CPS overreaching their boundary, overstepping their boundaries, the government getting into the homes of the American people, it scares parents so that they don't want to give that same corporal punishment
Of course
that we
not.
got. And look at us. We're two run-of-the-mill guys that grew up in rough times with tough discipline. You're running from sheriff, and I'm running for president of the United States. So clearly, we turned out okay.
Absolutely, and that's because of the upbringing, and that's where it starts. It starts within the home of where these children are growing up and learning how to be disciplined, how to have respect. Where has the respect gone for authority?
Right.
It's out the window, and we have to bring that back. It starts at home, though. I can't say that enough. If the parent or parents aren't teaching that to their children within their home, then they're going to go outside of the home and feel that they can do the same out there because there's nothing at home. There is no consequences.
Get them off the video games and start doing things with your children at home. Whether
Amen.
it's changing brake pads on a vehicle or the oil or teaching them how to mow the lawn at 8, 9 years old, weed eat. Teach them something. Spend time with them. Get the video games out of their hands and start being a parent. If we can get the government out of the home and start, implementing these punishments, maybe we can cut the crime down right there, because kids, as they grow up with that punishment, don't feel like they want to walk that line with the law when they get out into society.
You can take a poll on how many families now aren't sitting down at the table breaking bread like we did.
Oh, we do it in my house every other week. I get my kids for a week, and my fiance makes dinner, and my kids set the table. We sit down, no phones, no hats.
No. We
sit down, we eat, we talk about the day, we talk about anything that may be bothering them, and we probably spend half an hour eating, 45 minutes eating, and that's a ritual we do every single night that my kids are in my home. Where has that gone? Fast food,
technology, fast food, technology, and everyone says they don't have enough time. They have enough time for all the other nonsense,
right,
and distractions of what's going on in our society, but they don't have time for that. I mean, like I say, every night or even on Sundays. Sundays at my grandmother's, it was everybody, and we all broke bread. We all sat down. Jerry knows how Italian families are. Sundays, there was no excuse for anything else. There was no
Never.
There was no watching TV. There was no sports. Didn't anything else mattered. It was time to sit down with the family, and you talked about your week. You talked about what's going on, school, life, whatever it may be. But that's what we don't have anymore, is that
Right.
foundation that, again, I say it over and over, it starts within the home of where these young children are in our society, to understand when they go out in public and you open a door, you hold the door, you respectfully say thank you or you're welcome. They expect it. Everything should be expected to be handed to
Right.
them on a silver spoon. It doesn't happen that way. You got to work for things. I worked many jobs. Still do work many
You
jobs.
and I both.
I've been retired almost 8 years from law enforcement, and I'm working many jobs because I'm taking care of my responsibilities, keeping, head above water with economics and the way things
Right.
have changed. And I have 2 kids to take care of and help. They're just out of teenage age. My son's 18, my daughter's 20.
Wow.
But my son's working. He does, his love and his passion is rodeo work. He's doing that. And he's a carpenter. He said, I'm going out of school, and he just graduated in June. I want to be a carpenter. We need trade people. And I honor him and appreciate his values to know that he needs to work with his hands to understand the value of making a dollar in what you do. My daughter is the same way. College, online, taking courses, and working, whatever job she can work to do what she has to do. They have to understand the responsibilities, that it's not going to come out of mom and dad's pocket all the
Right.
time. You have to go out there and earn that money and learn how to save, get your credit established, and learn how to do the foundations of life in this country of how we were.
Right.
And that's how you pass it on to your next generation. None of this, handouts. They have no appreciation and value of it.
No, they all feel like they're entitled to everything.
Sure.
And I'm glad you brought this up, because a couple of things I want to bring up real quick to you, just to see if we align on this, because we have a lot in common politically as it is, where we stand.
Correct.
So with the schools, I want to bring back reading and writing for sure. But I want to, because, my kids are 14 and almost 13, so a little younger than yours. So
Okay.
I'm going through what you've been through, right?
Yes.
And my kids have made over $1,000 this summer mowing grass, which was a job I did. I gave
Sure.
them my riding mower and said, go talk to the neighbors, and I'm sure and I'll be honest with you, they were getting paid $50, $60 a yard. When I
Sure.
was a kid, it was $5 or $10 a yard,
Right.
So they've made money. They both have bank accounts now. They're learning to use their debit card. And now I see my oldest son. He's such a prick right now. I'm like, he goes, Dad, let's go to McDonald's. And I'm like, okay, cool. You going to buy McDonald's? He goes, no, you are. You're my dad. I'm like, you worked all summer long. This is you. You buy yours, I'll buy mine. He goes, no, you buy mine and you buy yours. I'm like, no, Landon, that's not how it works. So we're working on that one. But I would like to see how, we have collegiate courses in high school that you can get credit for.
Correct.
What we don't have is trade school classes that you can get credit for. So if we bring back wood shop, your son's a carpenter, wants to be a carpenter.
Metal shop.
He could take those classes and get credit towards trade school, which would open up small grant opportunities or scholarships to trade schools, which we don't offer to kids. We want to push the narrative of going to a big 4-year university or a junior college, and these kids take out the student loans, and now we have Joe Biden literally going against the Supreme Court by issuing out student forgiveness loan checks.
Right.
I think that's a travesty in itself because he's literally going against the Supreme Court. So my plan is to get rid of the Department of Education and government and let the states go back to managing and governing their education. I want to see the states put back in shop class, auto class, welding class, and I'll go one step further, and I don't know how you guys feel about this. As a Republican, you might be all for it. I want to put an ROTC program in every high school that has a 2-year requirement to graduate just because it brings structure, discipline, honor, integrity, honesty, and it prepares kids to get ready to leave the home and go out into the real world. Because if you're not getting that structure at home, you can get it in a 2-year course at school, and there is no requirement to join the military just because you had to take that class. It's an option for you, and of course, if you take it and you want to go to the military, you can. There's benefits that go with that. But if not, every young boy and girl that graduates from their freshman year to their senior year can pick whichever 2 years they want to take it. We have to take English all 4 years in high school. We have to take math all 4 years in high school. We have to take a science all 4 years in high school. Why not a class that will teach these kids, it's focused around building their inner character and helping them find out who they are and giving them structure that maybe they're not getting at home.
And you also have to take another language. You forgot that.
Yeah,
you're required
we
to
had
do that.
Spanish.
You're required to take
hated
another
it.
language.
I think my kid took, my oldest Landon took Spanish and French in 8th grade and got credit for it towards high school. So he doesn't have to take a foreign language this year as a freshman because it was an elective that was carried over.
In addition to those classes, you left out home ec.
Well, we
'Cause
have
that was in middle school. That was back in
Yeah,
middle
that
school,
was
and it
great.
ended.
My
Yes,
13-year-old took
absolutely.
home ec all last year, and
Okay.
I said, "Why are you doing that?" And he's
Right.
a bigger kid, right?
Right.
He's got a great relationship with food. He loves to eat. I'm all for it, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm a big guy myself. And I thought he was going to say because I'm always hungry, and he'll be 13 this month in a couple weeks. I said, Aiden, why do you want to take home ec all the time? And he goes, because it's the only class where all the girls are at. I said, you ain't lying, son. High five.
So let me just say something to both of you. So this is what I think we should do now. I'm going to give the mic to each one of you. You'll each have about 20 minutes to tell everyone your policies and what's going on. Why don't we start with you, Aunt? You tell everyone now what your plans are when you become President of the United States.
Even though Jerry's in the back seat, she's still got to have that front seat presence, right?
Well, I have to make sure it goes.
So, so my name is Anthony Hudson. I'm a blue-collar guy. I grew up in a small town in central Texas. My father was a chief of police for about 18 years, retired from there, became an owner-operator in the trucking industry. My mother worked at a bank and then ended her career with the Secretary of State in Austin, Texas, renewing driver's license, doing the job nobody wants to go to, right? And we were very much a blue-collar family. I grew up in poverty. I got Michael Jackson pants 3 years after they were no longer popular, right? So that's the way it was in my life growing up. And I never thought that what happened in Washington would ever affect my life. I figured they just do their thing. I live my life. I get my freedom, and it is what it is. And now in my mid-40s, about a year ago, it was a year ago, August 18th of last year, I decided that I'm going to run for president of the United States because there are so many people arguing and complaining about politics, but nobody's standing up to do anything on a large scale. And I said, I'm going to be that guy. What do I got to lose at this point? Because my life, my struggles are a result of the poor decision-making that's being made in Washington, D.C. That is a result of government not representing the people of the United States. And as an average American man, I can relate to 99% of the people in this country who struggle. If you go to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week and you still have to find a second job or have to have a two-income family to get by, that is not the United States of America that you remember growing up. That's not the United States of America that we need moving forward. We need to get an administration that is from the people, for the people, 100%. And I'm your guy. I have struggled with gas prices for the last 2 years, just like all of you have. And this is what I don't understand. Why are the Democrats pushing this agenda? Because they pay the same amount for gas that the Republicans and the independents pay for. They pay the same price at the grocery store that Republicans and independents pay for. So why are you so excited about Bidenomics and approving what Joe Biden is doing when it's costing you just as much money to live in this country as everybody else? This is where we need to open our eyes and start looking at the whole picture and changing the way we think, change the way that we vote, and start doing politics, creating politics, legislation that is representing the American people in a positive way, like taking your overtime hours and making them tax exempt so that you can put that money in your pocket at the end of the week. For the businesses, you would actually not be paying payroll taxes on those overtime hours because it's tax exempt to the employee. It's tax exempt for you with the payroll taxes. We want small businesses of 50 employees or less to be tax exempt from those same payroll taxes so that they can save money to help expand their business, broaden their business, training, hiring new people, buying new equipment or whatsoever, whatever they want to choose to do with that, because it's so difficult to get a loan through the SBA or the government to expand your business. They care more about what race you put on the application than they do the actual requirements to get the loan. And this isn't about race. I feel like we need to remove the race part of every application when it goes to buying a car, renting a house, getting a home. Who cares if you're male or female? Who cares if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian? It doesn't matter. We are American citizens in this country. What matters is, do I make enough money? Is my credit score high enough and my debt-to-income ratio within the parameters that I can afford this loan? That's all that matters. We just had this issue up in Massachusetts where they had the problem with the Asiatic kid got kicked out of school because of his race. It shouldn't happen at all. Who cares? You're going to get your education. We feel that our homeless issue is a major issue. Our veterans not getting the support that they need from the United States government is a major issue. We've done a lot of research. We are prized in the fact that we are the only ones. And remember, I'm a blue-collar guy. I'm not a politician. I'm a truck driver. But we have come up with a policy that would reopen 537 military bases in this country that already have housing, electric, water, closed businesses. It's a resource we already own. We can put our homeless veterans and our homeless people in those bases, in that housing, in the barracks, let them have a place to shower. We can reopen those businesses so that we can work them into those jobs where they can make money, and they can actually graduate from this program once they're on their feet and able to be reinstituted into society in a positive manner, where they're not going to end up being arrested for loitering or trespassing or breaking into someone's home to get something to eat. This is how we innovate change in this country, is by thinking outside of the box. And I think with opening up these bases, because they're just sitting there, the resources are just sitting there, we need to use those. One of my biggest philosophies in this country is bringing America back to being an independent country. We became an independent nation in 1776, but today we are not an independent nation. We are reliant on so many foreign nations for our existence, and we have all of it right here at home. Made in the USA should be about pride, not profit. And we need to bring these jobs back. We need to seize back the land that we sold to China and give it to our farmers for pennies on the dollar. We've already made money on the profit of the sale, right? We take this land back, we sell it to our farmers, let them extend their crops, and then they donate 1% of that crop back to the government so that we can feed our hungry and our homeless. That's one way that we can kill two birds with one stone. Another thing that we're working on is the southern border. I've been there. 15 days I've been on the southern border. Geri Petito and Ruben went down with us to Yuma, Arizona. They saw firsthand the tragedy that is our southern border. Young kids coming across. People from, I think it's 172 nations are immigrating into the United States of America illegally. They come in, they get their picture taken, they get their stuff put in plastic bags, they go to an NGO camp, they get interrogated, they get a medical clearance, and then they get shipped off to places like New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Martha's Vineyard. And the government is putting a strain on these cities with overpopulation and not enough housing and nowhere to put these people. We see in New York that they're putting them up in parks now. And it's creating chaos. With the influx and population of the immigration, we have a lot more crime coming from illegal immigrants, and you touched on that a little bit earlier, Bucky, and this is something that we definitely need to stop. We do not and cannot, nor will we ever close our borders, but we need to start forcing legal immigration in this country. And one thing that we've done about this is we wrote a piece of legislation, and we've submitted it to Congress about 3 months ago, and it's called a citizen's bond. And a citizen's bond would cost an immigrant $150 a month. And it's like an insurance bond that says you have the right to be in the United States of America, to take up residence, and to get a job. ICE cannot deport you. You cannot be arrested for just being here. You'd have to break the law, literally. And they still have to go through the immigration process, but this gives them that temporary visa status to get here. And they pay this $150 every single month until they finish their immigration process. And people are like, why would you do that? I'm like, well, because we need to have an innovative way to get the immigrants here. We need the immigration. This country was founded on immigration. The $150, we send $25 to, or $12.50 to the city of host where the immigrant takes up residency. We send $25 to the city, $25 to the county, and then we take $100 that's remaining and we apply it directly towards our deficit. You want to come into this country, start paying your dues. $100 per immigrant. At one point, when we wrote this, there were 3 million immigrants. That's $300 million a month, or $3.2 billion a year towards our deficit. That's helping the American economy. We can pull that debt down. Or if you're an of-age military man and you want to come into this country, you can serve this country under a 4-year contract, and once you complete your contract, you can be given your citizenship status. That would encourage more men and women to serve this country, to help build our numbers up. And in return, they're making money. They have a place to live. They're working for the government, so we know where they are. We know what they're doing. And when they finish, they get their citizenship, and it's done in 4 years. Not 15 years, not 20 years, not stacks and stacks of paperwork and lawyers and, crazy fees all across the board. Literally 4 years service. If you want to stay in, stay in. But if you want to get out, we'll process your citizenship. That will help our military numbers, which we need. Another thing that people are talking about all over the world is what are our foreign policies? What are we going to do with Ukraine and with Russia and with China and Taiwan and North Korea? And I don't know if you knew this, Bucky, or not, but North Korea is in talks with Russia over arms deals right now.
I just heard that yesterday.
Yeah. While we're sitting here fighting amongst ourselves between Republicans and Democrats, our enemies are making plans for war. Hear me out on this, because I'm telling you the truth. A month ago, we had 11 naval ships off the coast of Alaska. 11 ships between Russia and China sitting in the straits off the coast of Alaska. Now we have Kim Jong-un trying to get weapons from Russia that he could use against the United States, because they've always plotted to send their ballistic missiles into the United States. These guys are building alliances to tear apart this country. And if we don't stand up and flex our muscle and take back control as a world power, we are going to lose on every front. We will. We need to find a way to negotiate with Russia to get them out of Ukraine. promised to keep Ukraine out of NATO because that's the biggest thing that Russia doesn't want. They don't want Ukraine to become part of NATO. We have to work with China to figure out, to resolve the tensions in Taiwan. And until we can do that, we have to protect Taiwan because of their production of semiconductors. The goal is to get America to build these semiconductors here so we don't have to have that reliance on Taiwan and we can pull away from China altogether. But until that happens, we have to protect Taiwan. And the other question is Israel. Are we going to continue to protect Israel? Absolutely, we're going to protect Israel. Why not? I mean, it's what we do. We need that alliance with Israel. It's God's country, literally. So we have to do what we have to do to protect America's interest. But we need to sit back and look at where we're spending the American dollar. And right now, your dollar is going to Ukraine to fund a war that we are not a part of, and it's completely unconstitutional. Our dollars are supposed to be spent here in the United States to protect the American people and take care of the American people. And by becoming an American first nation, putting people before politics, making the American people a priority, we can take care of this country. We can stop the overseas wasteful spending and put it back into the United States so that we can invest in our people so that we can walk proudly in this country again. We can get the education that we need. That $80 billion a year from the Department of Education, if we do away with the DOE, how many grants can we write with that money to help people go to college without getting a student loan? How many scholarships can we create for $80 billion a year? That's every year that we can put our kids through school. And if we're promoting trade school, those cost what, 10 grand? Yeah. For a couple years, 18 months versus 60 grand to go 4 years. It's a viable option, and trade schools lead to entrepreneurship.
I owned beauty salons in the 80s and 90s. This guy knows because I had it in my high school for beauty culture. You're right, 1,000%.
Yeah, we have to promote this, and it's less expensive. The grants can go a lot further. The IRS is another agency that I believe needs to be cut because research shows that every state has the ability to do exactly what the IRS does. And I've been hit with questions. Well, what are you going to do with all those IRS agents with guns? Well, I tell you what, you give them an option. If you want to work for the federal government, you take your service pistol and go stand on the southern border and enforce legal immigration in this country. If you don't, go get a job at Wawa's or go get a job at Speedway or go to 7-Eleven. I don't care.
You said Wawa good.
Wawa.
Yeah, Wawa.
They said they sang a song like that in Greece.
He said it
What
good.
do we do
He can't
without
say
Wawa?
Yesterday,
they don't have them in Michigan.
Yeah, no, I sat in the hotel last night. I practiced for like 30 minutes because I knew I was going to say that word today. But, we want to keep them employed, but we need more help at the southern border. So if you want to keep your service pistol and you want to keep your status as a government employee, you need to go down to the southern border and protect this country. I think that we need to cut the FBI in half, the CIA in half, get the corruption out of these agencies. I think we need to lift up and promote the U.S. Marshals and give them full jurisdiction, even on indigenous land, to help with the crime that they see that is constantly increasing because they don't have the resources or the personnel. And I think that we need to put a little bit more money into Homeland Security because right now one of the biggest crimes, world-renowned, is the sex trafficking of children. Right. And a lot of it, whether you want to believe this or not, most of it comes from other countries into the United States of America. And we have organizations that are working with other countries, but they're limited because the other countries supposedly have these cases and have their jurisdiction, much like our FBI has, but they're not doing anything with it. And who is the largest contributor to child trafficking in this country? The trucking industry. The trucking industry.
Doesn't surprise me.
That makes sense.
Sure.
What's the largest state? What's the state with the largest sex trafficking numbers? Oregon.
That makes so much sense, though.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Little old beautiful Oregon that hardly has anybody living out there has the highest numbers in the country for sex trafficking. And I'll tell you what, and I don't have a problem saying this on the radio, but we were looking into this recently of how we can combat child trafficking. I had law enforcement contact me and tell me to back off because if I have something sent to my phone, I could be prosecuted and arrested if it has anything to do with child trafficking or child pornography or no matter what it is, if it involves children in an illicit way, I could be arrested even though I'm running for president trying to find a way to solve the problem. So that tells you that there is some cover-up somewhere that they don't want you
Yes,
messing with it.
Absolutely.
So it's a problem, and this is something that we want to dedicate a lot of time, a lot of resources to being able to put a stop to this. Will we ever stop it? I don't think we will, but honestly, I think we can cut it down. I think we can be more aggressive in our searches, more roadside random stops for these tractor trailers, the trains, being able to investigate the trains, and just making awareness all across the country to children and to parents. These are the telltale signs. They say a predator usually goes after a child that has a rough home life, and they show them love and compassion and give them gifts and, kind of take them in. And some of the older, go ahead.
It's like a pedophile.
Like a pedophile, absolutely. And
Absolutely.
They come in, they find some of the older girls that are like 14, 15 years old, and they approach these kids like a relationship. I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to love you, and I'm going to take care of you, get you out of your house. And then the kid believes and trusts and gets into this little relationship with this person. Next thing you know, they're gone. And you can't find them at that point because they're so quickly, moved across the country, and sometimes they're sold out of the country. There's an Underground Railroad organization that tells me a lot of these kids get picked up in truck stops in northern states and taken into Canada, just like that.
So, do me a
Surprised me.
favor, because we got to get Bucky on. Listen, I need you to tell everyone how to give you donations, your websites, everything you need them to know.
And I'm not the guy that asks for money. I hate asking people for money. I've always struggled and did it my way and was proud to hold my head up and say, I've never had to do this. But in the political world, it's a different story. It's a horse of a different color, as they say. And we have a website, AnthonyHudson2K24.com. You can go there and you can do multiple things. You can donate to our campaign. And we're not asking for a lot. If we had 500,000 people donate $2, we'll have $1 million, and that would be enough. We know that we can run a successful presidential campaign in about that range. You can contribute to the campaign there on our donation site. You can go to our merchandise site. You can buy T-shirts, hats, bumper stickers, flags like the one we have right behind me here. You can join our campaign as a staff member, volunteer to help us make phone calls or, spread the word through Facebook, social media. I'm going to be starting my own radio show right here with Hamilton Radio, broadcasting out of my home in Michigan. And we'll be putting that up on YouTube and iHeartRadio and getting our message out. But we need your help. America, this is your chance. You talk about change all the time. This is your chance to stand up and be the change. You've heard it yourself all your life. If you want to do something right, do it yourself. This is your chance to stand up and do it yourself and change the way you vote and start supporting one of your own. We have Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. The tag is Hudson2K24. Again, $2, $5, $10. If you got $100, that's great. But I'm going to tell you right now, the majority of our donations that have been coming in are anywhere from $1 to $3. We've raised $10,000 in a year. It's not a lot, but listen, I've been through 21 states and flown 17,000 miles on $8,000. Donald Trump can't go from Florida to Washington, D.C. for less than $10,000 because of his jet, his pilot, fuel, all that stuff. We know how to stretch a dollar. We know how to use our resources, and we know how to get the job done because we come from where you're sitting right now, wherever you're listening to the show. We've been there. We are currently there, and we can help you. So if you want to bring back America, let's take back our country. Let's do the right thing, and let's show the world that the American people are stronger than they think.
Yes, this guy right here, Anthony Hudson. We need him as our president, guys. Now, this guy right here, Bucky. So I want you to look into the camera, and you've got a good 25 minutes. I want you to tell everyone what's going on and what you're planning on doing for Mercer County, my county, guys. Let's go, baby.
Good afternoon. Again, Jerry, thank you for having me here on the show. Anthony was well-spoken as to getting your message out. Brian Boccanfuso, as most of my friends and colleagues in law enforcement know me, as Bucky. That's why it's Bucky for Sheriff. I have 26 and a half years of law enforcement experience, all here in Mercer County. I was born and raised here in Mercer County. I was adopted by a father who was a police officer with the Princeton Township Police Department. My mother was a home health care, well, not a home health care, home daycare is what she did. At one point, she had up to 25 kids in a home that I was raised in doing daycare. So bluegrass, working, blue collar. My father, besides being a police officer, he moonlighted with a taxi business in Princeton. Everyone knew my father was Frankie Buck. I was Little Buck, and that's where Bucky comes from. As it went on in life, through sports and with my friends, instead of calling me Little Buck, they called me Bucky. I worked with the Princeton Township Police Department. I started my law enforcement career there for a year and a half. I left there. I went out to what used to be Washington Township, which is now Robbinsville Township. And that's where I retired in 2015 as a detective. I served in the patrol unit, traffic unit, community policing bike unit, and criminal investigations unit. I was our ABC officer, an arson investigator. I held various different titles in the criminal investigations unit, doing backgrounds for firearms applications. I was a community-oriented law enforcement officer. I'm not a politician. I'm a police officer. Blue is in my blood. And it is what concerns me and strives me to keep moving forward to make the change that needs to be made here in Mercer County. Running for sheriff is a big title to run for. I have broad shoulders, and that's why I took on this task. I took it on 3 years ago. During the pandemic, it was very tough to get out and do campaigning due to what was going on in our country with the mandates, people not wanting to congregate, be within each other and congregating groups together. This year, I'm out there as much as I can be, boots on the ground. Any event that I can get to, I'm getting to get my message out. Not as a politician, as a law enforcement officer. Mercer County Sheriff's Office is not doing what it needs to be doing for Mercer County. There's 12 municipalities throughout Mercer County. There's almost 400,000 residents here in Mercer County. Talking with other law enforcement officers, other agencies, and what I'm seeing is lack of visibility, lack of transparency, and that's what concerns me. Our Sheriff's Office has over 130 officers, uniform officers, that can be out there working the streets, helping to supplement the other law enforcement agencies throughout our county, and that's where they should be, not just in our courts. If you're a resident of Mercer County, unless you're in our courts and you're summoned for jury duty, or unless the sheriff's officer is coming to do an eviction notice or serving some other type of paperwork to a business or your residence, that's the only time you're really seeing the sheriff's office outside of a county facility, which may be the airport, Trenton Thunder Park, Cure Arena. You may see them there. You may see them in Trenton. Trenton's not the only problem here in Mercer County. Unfortunately, Trenton does have a high crime issue. Approximately six to 8 weeks ago, our Trenton Police Department put together a proactive unit due to an uptick in crime. Sheriff's Office not affiliated and not involved. Why? I can't get that answer, and it bothers me to no end to understand that Trenton PD is trying to do what's right for the citizens in Mercer County and in the city of Trenton, and our Sheriff's Office is not involved with them. This goes outside of our Trenton city capital, dealing with that police agency. I was just at an event last Thursday evening, which was the National Overdose Awareness Day at Veterans Park. There were several law enforcement agencies there. No sheriffs present, no representation from the sheriff's office. A county agency. I don't understand it. I talked to several individuals there. I talked to officers there. I talked to people from City of Angels, which is a very good resource here in Mercer County for the youth of our county, even adults with drug addiction, and talking to them and trying to understand why our sheriff's office isn't more involved. Again, more visibility and transparency. I was at a swearing-in for a police chief here in Mercer County. Largest community within our county. Again, no representation from the sheriff's office. This is an office that works with all municipality agencies here in Mercer County. Why are they not more involved? I don't have that answer. They will be. I can guarantee you that. When elected as your sheriff, you will see me. You will know who I am. You will know what our sheriff's office can do for you. There's more to working as a sheriff's office here in Mercer County than just in the courts, providing security for the judges or in the court building itself or for the jurors and transporting jurors. When it comes down to transporting prisoners, I talk to the agencies that are suffering with staffing issues and prisoners on judges' orders of an arrest warrant or whatever the person may be arrested for from a Superior Court judge. The sheriff's office is not coming out and picking up that prisoner and transporting him to our county jail or back down to the courthouse. Why, again, I don't have that answer. The resources are there, and the resources will be there for our other agencies that are struggling. We have another agency in our county here, East Windsor Township, that is shorthanded. Again, sheriff's office could be out there just being visible on the road, handling traffic accidents, handling crowd control for something, handling minor calls that the other agency itself can be handling the priority calls, and our sheriff's office can supplement. There's so much more that we can do as a county agency throughout here in Mercer County. Your tax-paying dollars are paying for the salaries that should be there, not just in the courts and not just in Trenton. They should be throughout Mercer County. There's 12 communities, like I said, almost 400,000 residents. I don't have the answer as to why they're not. I have the answer as to what they will be doing. And I talk to officers. They want to be on the street. They have all the full training as a regular police officer does. I had in my academy class several sheriff's officers that were in my academy class. They have all the rights, all the powers of regular law enforcement. It's not just being in the courts and providing security. As a uniformed officer, it can be on the streets. And I'm not going out there and trying to step on the toes of police chiefs, police directors, or the police officers that are out there working in your community. I want to help your community by supplementing and having the presence of visibility to deter the crime that's going on between catalytic converters, between shootings. Hamilton just had an assault happen last Friday. An individual carjacked somebody. I'm not saying we can be everywhere, but at least be out there and be more visible to deter these crimes, help supplement the law enforcement agencies that are throughout our county. And again, it's the visibility, the transparency. You're paying for the salaries. Why shouldn't you see those officers out there to help with the other agencies or to prevent by deterrence of being more visible? There's several different avenues that I want to go down as to what I want to change and make the sheriff's office the premier sheriff's office. We're here in the capital of New Jersey in Trenton. Why shouldn't we be the earmark to what a sheriff's office should be? And that's where I stand and what I look for. When I went to this incident, the overdose awareness event last Thursday evening, it was mentioned and was brought up and talked about the CARE program. CARE program was something that was instituted by the agency I retired from, Robbinsville Township Police Department, along with Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, who prosecutes these cases of individuals that are locked up for drugs, being in possession of drugs, selling drugs. Putting people in incarceration is not the way to resolve our drug issue. Getting them the proper help, recovery, and not a revolving door in our criminal justice system is how you help people who have a drug addiction. It's a disease. Go ahead, Jerry.
You know.
I know where you're going to go. You can go with
Okay,
it.
so guys, listen. This is major important that this township did what he just talked about, because I was in a car, listen, with an officer, and I got to tell you something. We had the dog and everything, and he got somebody, and we brought that person for help. I had a bulletproof vest on Scott Kivett. I'll never forget it, okay? So they are not just talking and saying they're going to do something. They do it. I had the chief of police at the time, right? I mean, I had them all here in Hamilton Radio, and they put me in that car with that dog. So I saw firsthand. This is major, okay, guys? Mercer County has done this, and this guy right here is going to enforce everything. When you just brought that up, you know what happened to me.
I know, Jerry.
So I just had to. Go ahead.
That's fine. And the CARE program is a community addiction recovery effort, and that's exactly what it is. It's a recovery effort to get somebody off the wrong path that they've gone onto with getting addicted to drugs. Heroin is number one. Fentanyl, I should say, is really number one now. Heroin has now taken the back seat to that. And legalizing marijuana, I understand they legalized it, and that's on a legislative end. That's not something that I can go and change. We can only deal with what we can deal with as to what happens legislatively in our state with legalizing certain drugs. Kids that start with marijuana They dabble in that, they escalate into the next drug, and then whether it's an opioid and then go into heroin or into fentanyl, and God forbid, because like they say, one pill is going to kill you. You take the wrong pill, and unfortunately I had to listen to a family talk about that on Thursday night and how they lost a loved one, a 23-year-old son of theirs. Nobody wants to see their son get buried and have that happen. It's a tragedy and it's a disease. It's absolutely a disease. 10 years ago, we didn't talk about it. We wouldn't face it. We wouldn't come out and admit to it. That's the biggest thing that we're doing now is we're coming to a forefront of understanding and realizing what's going on. The drug issue in our county is big. It's not just in the city. It's in the urban areas. That's how Robbinsville got involved, because we were having the kids from Monmouth County, Ocean County, some of the more prominent areas coming down 195, going to Trenton for their quick fix of their heroin and driving back out to their rural communities to do what they were doing. Yes, Anthony?
I got a question for you. You brought up incarcerating people for drug habits.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a thing. We should be focusing on rehab.
Recovery,
right?
correct.
Recovery. Can you, as sheriff, implement that it is a mandatory check-in to a rehab facility? Can we partner with rehab facilities within the state and inpatient where they go and stay for?
And that was the connection of what the CARE program was doing.
Okay.
The CARE program was putting individuals in contact with recovery facilities.
But can the judge do that?
That's how it was done. That's how it was being
It
done.
was being ordered through the judge.
We were doing it.
Okay,
that,
great.
That this is how it was going to work. You're going to go into recovery. You're going to get yourself clean. Those charges are still going to be held over your head. You need to get yourself clean. That's what we're here to help you with. We don't want the revolving door, like we talked about.
Right.
Bail reform. You're locking somebody up, you charge them, you kick them loose. A couple of days later, before they're even coming to court for their hearing, you're locking them up again because they have an addiction.
Right.
It's a disease. That's not going to help them. That's not helping them by locking them up, processing them, charging them. Yeah, you might get some fines out of them, but what are you doing for that human being?
What are you doing to help
for
them?
that family? What are you doing for that child, to the mother, to the father, to the siblings? You're not helping them. And if they can't get it at home, why can't we try to help and get it for them?
I get
So
it.
that's
I
what
like
we were
it.
doing, and that's what needs to be done countywide. That's not just something in certain municipalities. That's something that needs to be done countywide. There's issues that get brought to my attention, and I hate to even go there, but I have to just for a few minutes. People come to me and ask about election integrity, because we know we have problems. Last fall, we had problems in Hamilton and Robbinsville where our machines totally shut down. And people questioned the integrity of our election based off of that, because all you were doing was signing a piece of paper, putting it in a box, and hoping it was going to make it to the election,
Right.
down to the Board of Election. That has nothing to do with my jurisdiction. The Sheriff's Office has nothing to do with that. That deals with your legislators, your assembly people, your Senate people, in order to change what has to be done. It's the Board of Election. It's the same as we talk about the books in schools, pornography. We can't walk into a school. We don't have that authority to go into a school, into a library, and pull books off of shelves. We have resource officers that are in those schools. The children, unfortunately, are subject to whatever may be on the shelf. There's a memorandum of agreement between the police department and law enforcement and the school boards. That, again, is addressed between your school boards, dealing with their initiative to make those changes to make our wholesomeness of what our schools should be. Should be a foundation for education, not all the CRT and all the other stuff that's going on. That doesn't have to do with the sheriff's office. And I bring it up because there's misinformation out there about that, what the sheriff's office can do. We don't have those powers. That's just not where we are. We are a law enforcement entity enforcing the laws of the Constitution, not violating people's constitutional right. We take the Constitution and put our hand on the Bible. That's for us to uphold your rights as the constitutional rights of your as a victim or a defendant. We have no reason to cross that path and to cross over that. If we do, then we're not doing our job the right way. You know, unfortunately, there's bad apples in law enforcement. I understand that, and we hate that. There's nothing worse than a good cop seeing something go rogue. And if you don't get involved and stop somebody from doing something, then you're no better than that person that's wearing that
Amen.
uniform.
Right.
I wore my uniform every day with pride, dignity, integrity, and I went out there
Amen.
and represented that uniform of the agency I was working for that community. I worked to talk to the people. I was involved as a volunteer fireman, starting out as a young kid, a first aider. I got involved with Special Olympics, Sunshine Foundation. I've always youth sports and coaching. And you talked about earlier about your phone. If you get certain items that get sent to you, and talk about the sex trafficking.
Yep.
I had to teach that to our youth when we were coaching football. Me and a state trooper were coaching, and kids were laughing one day because some boy had pictures of somebody, and they were disseminating it to everybody.
Wow.
And we had to explain to the boys that you receiving it, you're now can get criminally charged for receiving a picture that's inappropriate from somebody. You taking it and seeing it, now you can get charged. And now if you take it and you share it, you're getting charged for that too.
Now, and you're right. You're right. That's absolutely. That's the situation that I was about to be put in. Where
Right.
We're working on trying to
I
help
understand that.
save
Yeah.
people's lives. Right.
Right.
So, how are you responsible for something I send you to your phone? You have no idea that I'm sending it. I didn't tell you I was sending it. I just said, Bucky, here's a picture. And I send it to you, and you open it, and you're like, oh, crap, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see. Now you're liable because it's on your phone.
It's on your phone. If you delete it, you at least delete it. But if you take that chance of disseminating it to somebody else, then that's where you can get
Or
criminally
leave it there
charged.
for periods of
Or
time.
if you leave it there to go
It
back
could
and
be
look at it,
assumed that
absolutely.
You're looking at it
because
whenever
what's
you
going to
want.
happen
Yeah.
is the individual that sent it to you, they're going to get his phone.
Right.
And they're going to take it to the regional computer forensics lab here in the state police that I worked at times. And they're going to go through that phone. And you may think that you delete it. We all know everything you delete is not
Everything's
deleted.
still there.
It's up there in the cloud or wherever it may be.
The cloud.
We're going to find it. We're going to get that information, and then we're going to come to you.
Right.
And we're going to look in your phone and see if you took anything from your phone and disseminate it to anybody. So you have to watch what you do. You have to be smart. And that's
You
when
have
you
to,
talk
and
about
it-
with the kids and games and their phones. Listen, this is technology. We live by it. We had this conversation over the weekend. I was with some friends, and I said, talking about phone numbers. If somebody asked me somebody's phone number, I don't have it in my head like I did as a little kid.
Right.
You knew your friend's phone number. You dialed it. You got home. You called them. Hey,
On
can
the
we hang out?
rotary.
Right, exactly. Not here. It's everything's here. Everything has become our life here.
And
Unfortunately,
people need to know that you
But
are
that's
being
not how
monitored
it
on
is.
these
Of
things.
course we are.
These
We know-
phones are
listen,
monitored by
we
the
all
government
know
and
we
everybody
are.
else.
We all know we are. You and I can have this discussion right now, and something's going to come up on our phone later on
You're
that
right.
we didn't ask for, but because it is what it is.
It's a
So you have to-
violation
you
of
have
our
to- you have to
privacy and our
tiptoe.
freedom. So
But
it's
but getting
ridiculous.
back to this, being the sheriff is not a political position. Unfortunately, it's politically appointed. So I don't play the political politics game here. I'm not here to bash and talk about anybody in a negative way. I'm telling you what, as a sheriff here in Mercer County, I can do and the changes that need to be made for the citizens of Mercer County. Just like you have written on your banner, people before, or citizens before politics, or people before politics, that's what I'm about. The citizens of Mercer County, public safety is number one to me. And if we can make those changes by being boots on the ground, more visible to deter the situations of what's going on with the crimes here in Mercer County. We have over 20 homicides in Mercer County already this year, 20 more than we should have. And out of that 20, 1/4 have occurred outside of the city of Trenton. So when I say it's not just a Trenton issue here, it is truly not a Trenton issue. We had an elderly woman, unfortunately, in West Windsor who heard something happening in the middle of the night. She confronted the individual, and the individual beat, and unfortunately, and all my respect and prayers and thoughts are to this woman's family, he killed her. Over what? Because he has a drug addiction, and because he found a way to break into somebody's house, to steal something, to go to a pawn shop or whatever it was, to get his fix for his drugs. Again, drugs are causing an issue in our society, and we have to address it. We need to face it, and we need to deal with it the way it needs to be dealt with. Again, I talk about all the things that I want to do and the changes that need to be made. That can't happen unless people go to the polls. And don't wait till the day of election to do this, people. I say this to the citizens of Mercer County, do not go on election day and make that vote. You have a 10-day early voting. If you don't trust the mail-in system, we have 10 days of early voting. I don't like it any more than anyone else does, but we have to go along with how the system is and what has changed here to do that. To help me out with my campaign, I have a website. It's Bucky, Bucky, FOR, Sheriff, all one word. Go to my website. There's a donate page. There's an event page on there that tells you all the events. You can read about my mission, my background, everything you want to know about me, as to my passion to making Mercer County a better, safer county for people to live here, people to come visit Mercer County, people to come and enjoy what you should come and enjoy, all that there is to offer here in Mercer County without feeling that you can't go into the city of Trenton anymore, you can't go into other communities. Those changes can only be done by the citizens here in Mercer County to get out and vote and make those changes, because if you're not tired of what's going on, if you're not tired of not seeing your sheriff's office, people ask me, who is our sheriff? And I tell them it's not my job to tell you who the sheriff is, because they don't even know we have a sheriff at times. It's my job to tell you who I am, what I'm about, and what I'm going to do to make it better for Mercer County, have your tax dollars working for you here in Mercer County as a sheriff, as a sheriff's office, more community policing, being more visible. Like I say, I'm going to all these events, and I'm going for a purpose. And yeah, my purpose is to get my message out to the citizens for them to understand what needs to be done. They're not there. I can't say it enough. It's been seen. Other people that are with me have seen it. Other candidates, citizens, whoever it is that's there. And I asked the question, and I have to, because that's what I'm talking about. This is not just me now campaigning for a position that unfortunately is a political voted on position. You see me now, you're going to see me after I'm elected. And more often than ever, you're going to see me at county events that are essential to Mercer County, all 12 communities of Mercer County. I'm a PR guy. I'm a person guy. I'm a people person. You see me, you get to know me. I can have a conversation with anybody in a room that I've never walked into before and don't know many people, and I can do that because that's just who I am. I'm an open book. There's nothing, what you see is what you get right here, and that's basically me. And working for the people of Mercer County, the citizens of Mercer County, is what it's all about. Putting citizens first over politics. But the change can't be made until you go to the vote for November 7th to make that change. Besides my website, I also have T-shirts for sale. They're $20 each. You can contact me through my website. You can email me. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Like I said, I'm out there for the people to see who I am, to know what I'm about, and know what changes need to be made. Change needs to be made in Mercer County. If ever the change can be made, this is the year to do it. We don't have a gubernatorial election. We don't have a presidential election. All of our assembly seats and Senate seats are up for election this year. Change needs to be made. I don't even put it out there when I talk to people what party I'm with. I think you can tell from where I'm coming from what party I'm with, because, again, I try to stress that. It shouldn't be a political issue. It should be putting the right person in the right position for the right job. And I'm that guy to do that for you here in Mercer County to make that change. That's what I'm about, Jerry. And I thank you for your time and efforts and helping me and supporting me to get my message out, because it is very tough to make those changes, but they need to be made here in Mercer County. More so now, like I say, than ever with what's going on in our country, locally, statewide, and our nation.
So guys, I just want to say to everybody listening, please share this show. Okay, put it everywhere, because change needs to be made. I want to thank these guys so much for being back here live in studio on Hamilton Radio. I want to thank you, Doc G, for hanging out with us. And guys, listen to me. These two guys, again, I know personally, and I'm vouching for them. Okay, everybody that knows me knows my yes is my yes, my no is my no. There's no middle crap with me. I've also been in Trenton, right, with Ruben actually and my daughter protesting with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for our constitutional rights. So I am huge on that. And I'm going to say this because I said it last night with Anthony Hudson on another show we did. Stop complaining if you're not going to get off your butts. Yeah, I can say that. They didn't. I'm going to say it. If you're not going to do something to make a change that's going on in your own county, in your own country, shut up. Okay? Because I'm sick and tired of hearing everybody complaining but not willing to do anything. I've risked my life many times, okay, for our rights. So I'm not asking anyone to risk their life, but I'm asking everybody to just take a stand. We are going to be at Friendly's in Robbinsville for all the locals, 3 to 5 p.m. today. A meet and greet with both these guys. So why don't you come out? I don't care if you have a 45-minute ride, an hour ride, come on out. Because if this guy gets into office and he's president, you could tell everybody you met the president. And this guy right here, for everybody in Mercer County, you come out and give him a meet and greet, and guess what? You'll get a photo with him, all right? Because we need both of these guys in office. So again, I want everybody to please, please take this seriously. Please, please take a stand. And please, please share this video. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing, Jerry?
Go ahead.
Also, I have lawn signs
Yep.
that
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody wants a lawn sign, you can reach out to me through, again, Facebook, Instagram, or through my website. Besides the lawn signs, we have the big 4x4 signs. If you want a 4x4 sign on your property, on your business, whatever it may be, again, I understand that people worry about putting things in their business or around their business because it's politics, and they're worried about people not coming in if you're supporting one or the other. Well, guess what? Everybody can come in and show their support for whichever candidate they want to show their support for. That's your God-given right here in our country, in our democracy. But getting my message out is important to me, and if you share it with one person and they share it to 10 other people and they share it to 10 people, it gets the message out to everybody. We need to get the message out, and I appreciate your support. Thank you, Jerry.
I got Jerry real quick.
Go ahead.
And you might like this. You might like this. If people change the way they vote and look into the candidates and get rid of the Democrat or the Republican
I agree.
letter and vote for the candidate.
I agree.
And let's say we get a blue-collar president in 2024, 2028, 2032, whenever it happens.
Yep.
We get a blue-collar president. What would it look like having a blue-collar man work with me either in the FBI, the CIA, Secret Service, or who knows? I'm going to need a chief of staff, someone that's got my back.
And a radio lady. You're going to need that.
I got a press secretary
A
sitting here.
vegan chef.
I guess what
You're
I'm
gonna need
saying,
it, baby.
I guess what I'm saying is that I want to fill my cabinet with middle Americans that know what it's like to live and struggle and then persevere on the other side. We want that representation no better than the blue-collar people that can do the job.
Yay.
And Anthony, I agree with you, and that's what it's about when I talk about I'm not a politician, I'm a law enforcement guy. I bleed blue. I care about citizens. I care about public safety. That's my concern, and that's where I talk about the visibility and transparency and the lack of it from our sheriff's office. It needs to be more of it for the people to know so that somebody can approach you
Right.
and say, hey, I have a problem. I don't know who to talk to. How can I take care of this problem? Whatever the problem may be. That's what we're about. We're here for the residents. We're here for the citizens to work for them. That's who we're working for.
That's right.
To help them. That's what it's all about.
And in this economy and the way the country's going right now, it takes amazing people to step up and want to serve those same ruthless people in this country that are sometimes just gone mentally. But there are so many people in this country that are striving for that attention, striving for that representation. And the people that we've elected in the past, they're not getting the job done, and we have no one to blame but ourselves. So we change what we do at the polls. We get the right people into office, and we can start literally working together to make the change and implement the change that's needed. I look forward to working with you. This relationship that we've built over the last couple months, it doesn't just stop when you become sheriff or if I lose and I run again in 4 years. We're going to keep in touch. We're going to keep working together and support the ideas that we both have because I'm an independent presidential candidate, and I have a lot of the same values that he has, and I'm not going to throw his party out there. You should know, as he said. But it doesn't matter the political affiliation. What matters is the desire of the individuals working together to get the job done. Not just to tell you what we want and then disappear, but by showing you the results. And I think that Bucky and myself are the kind of people, just by listening to him talk, will get out there and do the job. If you followed me, you've seen my videos where I've been in disaster areas helping the American
You got 30
people
seconds,
boots on the ground.
President.
So I'm done. I'm ready to go get a fribble dibble or whatever it's called.
Listen, he'll talk for another hour.
I will, but I want a fribble dibble.
Well,
I'm
listen.
done.
Everybody, all kidding aside, please. I love these two guys. They're the two guys for the jobs. Please, please. I'm begging you, do the right thing. Bucky for sheriff, Mercer County, we need him in office. Anthony Hudson for president of the United States, we need him in office. Thank you, guys. Take us out, Ruben.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.